how can China or any country in its cities really adapt the forms of tall building design so it's not left with homogeneous skylines?
Well, I think, this is the work of the urban planners' cities, and depends what they dictate on you. The latitude is wide. They can be very strict and dictate to new strict street wall controls, mass of building, shape of buildings, building materials, and the architect will live by these guidelines and use his ingenuity to create something that adapts to this. But the question is, why are we doing tall buildings? I think it is about either densification, agglomeration of people, so it is to say to resolve a problem, because there is a need for housing, there is a need for offices or other land uses, or it is for the pride of the place, for the ego problem, for beautification. So this is the latitude between these two things. This is the and I think tall buildings are. You have to leave the architects to work to create something, because they add to cities. They add to the beauty of the city, to the attraction of the city, and they leave something for history. So if you want to do buildings all the same, okay, this has been done, and you can see it in many places in China, in many other countries. I can tell you, you can see it in Algeria, you can see it in Russia, you can see it in France. They call them HLM, So, but now they're putting them down, and they're leaving, they're leaving the freedom for architects to develop things.
To that end, when it comes to preserving individual skylines or characters of individual places, what are some of the features of vernacular architecture in the part of the world where you work, let's say Saudi Arabia or Lebanon, where you grew up, which you would like to see incorporated in a tall building, but haven't seen yet?
They have done it wonderfully in this building, in the Jinmao building. Really, it's a piece of art. But it's tall buildings is about modernism. It's about the strength of material. It's about creativity. It's about the future. But in my country, where I come from Lebanon. Lebanon is a small country. Beirut is a small city, and I have developed a number of tall buildings in my previous job. And we tried to build buildings, to build podiums for tall buildings, for people walking down the street not to feel superimposed by something really big, because the city is small, the people, it's a small country, small number of people. So the podium of these buildings would blend with the architecture of the other parts of the city, which is in the case where I used to work was Levantine, French Levantine architecture. So we're taking to modern features, but yet the tall building would recess and you will not see it from the street. So this is really incorporating. It is not easy to do that. How
about the Jeddah Royal Clock Tower?
Well, Jeddah is a flat city. Development Jeddah has been now Jeddah is taking shape as a modern city with a number of nice tall buildings happening, and it's about expansion of cities. When a city expands horizontally, you see lots of small structure happening, small object happening, be it houses or small buildings or that. But the only time really you start feeling the strength of a building of the city is when you start imposing nice object that you build. And Jeddah, all of the architecture in the Arab world has been imported from different places. So it's a blend of architectures.
What kinds of structural changes or cooperation do you need to see happen between developers and government to achieve a sustainable vertical urbanism, as you would define it?
Look, this takes us to the first question: how much latitude the government gives you to develop a tall tower, and how much private-public partnership you can have to build a tall tower. A tall tower is a factory. Then how it's a factory? It's a dense place where thousands of people will be working. Or it's a dormitory. There are thousands of places, it's nice apartments, but thousands of people will be sleeping, living in hotels. So there's a density. So you need transport, you need utilities, you need amenities, you need networks. And the only way to really improve on the performance of these buildings is by having a proper private-public partnership and having a good conversation with the planning authorities. And this takes you to, if you have a metro line that gets to your building, you will need less parking. If you have a, proper utilities coming, you can develop a sustainable building, environmentally friendly, because you can give up things, But it's all about, how much you can cooperate with the government to get all these utilities in place.
What sort of challenges do you think face that cooperation?
Look, it depends on the country.
Sure.
I've worked in many countries. Places like UAE, Dubai, Ajman, Abu Dhabi, the authorities are open. They're open to all suggestions. They're happy. They want to build a place. In other places, when you have bureaucracy, I will not mention the other places, when you have bureaucracy, it's a problem, because the interest of the developer is not aligned with the interest of the government official.
Yeah.
Okay? And in Saudi Arabia, there is a full understanding and full support from the government and from the municipalities, they call the Amana, and the Ministry of Municipalities, to develop. They respect mega projects and mega cities, so they give you the support you need.
So on the topic of being a CTBUH trustee, congratulations once again.
Thank you.
What hopes do you have for the organization going forward?
I'm honored to be a CTBUH trustee, and I hope I will be able to add value to this new endeavor. I think CTBUH is, let me put it in a different way. A tall building is a complex technical safety issue. Okay? And since it's so technical, you need knowledge. And CTBUH, with the workshop they do, they give you knowledge in every aspect of building a tall building, through the best experts in the world, competing with each other. But when they meet, they talk about something, they offer you a solution. So I think it's a dictionary. It's a book, for people developing tall buildings. And I highly recommend, and I'm going to highly recommend to many developers around the world, okay, to become members of CTBUH and to benefit from what CTBUH produces and prints and publishes. And during the board yesterday, I asked, during the board and the meeting of the leaders meeting, I proposed that we add workshop that would benefit the developers. Things like facility management. Facility management is key to the health of a building. Okay, and this comes very early in the beginning, when you order your electromechanical equipment, when you put your system, when you do the internal architecture of the building, because you need space for things, that you cannot produce later. I thought of workshop that relates to financing. Why don't we bring the banks to come understand what's a tall building, not to be scared from it. A few banks do it, but many people know it's a tall building, it's a big investment. Let's do things that relates to marketing. How to market a tall building. Let's listen to the experience of people in different places. I think there are many other subjects that we look at, but this is my, being a developer, my technical team takes care, my consultant takes care of all the technical issues with whom I participate with them. But the other part is also very important and would need to blend with the technical issues.
I'm going to talk a little bit about Middle East real estate development.
Yeah.
So it's still obviously a very hot market, but no longer quite the days of Dubai's boom, right? The initial one, at least.
Let us take away the smoke, the speculation, and talk about real estate market. Okay.
Sure.
The real estate market in the Middle East and the Gulf state. I mean, Middle East meaning we have to clarify what's Middle East. Talking about the Gulf state, Saudi Arabia and the other states like Kuwait, Qatar. But each one has a perspective. But let me talk about Saudi Arabia, which is the biggest country in the Middle East, 28 million people. So there is organic demand for real estate. I think for the next 10, 15, 20 years, there's going to be constant growth in the real estate market. Why? A population of 28 million. They need today, 2015, they will need 1.6 million housing units. Yeah? Okay, the government is doing a lot to do that. They put program helping people who cannot buy a house. They give them 500,000 riyal to buy a land or to buy a house. They give them financing. They're putting a mortgage low on the market. But yet, okay, 70% of the population today is below 30 years old. In 10 years' time, 70% of the population will be below 20 years. For me, as the real estate developer, what does it mean? We look at the socioeconomic structure, at the behavior of people, at the growth of the population, and the economic factor. And all of these influence the decisions and the opportunities in front of real estate developer. When 70% of the population in 10 years' time will be below 20 years old, this means these people will need apartments. They need a place to live. But these people have been exposed. They live now in houses, but they've been exposed to the world. They've traveled. They've seen the internet. They've seen TV. They know what's happening. They're happy to live in a smaller space that they can afford. They will need leisure. They will need entertainment. They need shopping malls. They will need cafes, restaurants. They will need jobs. So we need more offices. We need intelligent office space. So all of the, I think for the next 10, 15, 20 years, the Middle East is geared to a good pure real estate market. Talk about speculation. Speculation takes the market ups and down, but there is organic demand today in the Middle East that is sustained.
What do you think are the main challenges as that organic demand is satisfied over the next 10, 20 years?
They're working very hard. I tell you, in Saudi Arabia, the government is doing everything possible with public-private, and public sector. They're working, each one in its own way, to secure housing, to people, to secure jobs, to secure, all the amenities needed, the infrastructure. If you look at the budget of the Saudi government, in 2010, the budget was 510 billion riyal, up from 200 something, 180. Everybody said, wow. In 2011, 585. In 2012, 620. In 2013, 810, 820. In 2014, 155 billion. What does this mean? This means these are projects, housing, hospitals, schooling, roads, infrastructure, medical, education, maybe military, maybe the whole thing, But these are projects, metro lines in every city, the train links in all the cities. Okay. This is work, this is business that the government is putting on the market the next 5 to 10 years. They don't finish in one day. The money is ready, the projects have been identified, and they are either under construction or under planning or under design. Okay. With all of this, when the government spends money, the economy is in very good shape. Today, there is a growth of 6% per year in the kingdom. And if you take an average of 5 years without anything happening, it will be 3.5. Okay? Plus, the private sector is also investing. FDIs are coming to the country because there is a very interesting opportunity, and they're making the investment friendly. 2015, the kingdom opens up the stock exchange. You can buy the stock of all the Saudi companies. And there's lots of IPOs that are going to happen. So there's big opportunity, big liquidity coming to the market. And anyway, the Saudi market is the most liquid in all the area. It's the powerhouse of the Middle East.
On the long-term scale, do you think the Middle East's resource constraints are a concern for a growing population?
Today, everybody uses a car in the Middle East because gas is cheap. It's cheaper than anywhere else in the world. Tomorrow morning, increase the price of gas. People will start, 5, 6 will go in one car, and they will start using public transport, which is being put in place today. Today, for example, in Riyadh, they started building seriously Metro Riyadh. It's lines everywhere. In Jeddah, they have finished the planning. I think they started with the first blue line imminently. Plus, they have a bus line, they have a boat line, they have a tram line, and they have a train line, which is the pan-regional. So I think in the future, the second issue, and talking to sustainability of the place, cities have to start growing vertically. So in Riyadh, they already built King Abdullah Financial Center. It's a financial center plus it is a forest of towers. So it is going to group hundreds of thousands of people in the same place. because all of the cities in the kingdom, because of the ease of the gas is cheap, you know, they have been growing horizontally. You know, Riyadh maybe is 100 kilometer long or 80 kilometers. Jeddah is 40 kilometer long by 10 kilometers, and it's growing further north. But at one point today, a project like ours is essential, really, to anchor the growth of the city and to give it a city center, a heart where people can live, work, play, entertain, go to school in the same place without having to use a car. So people will have to living in agglomeration, and this is the future. Now, on the economic side, every Middle Eastern government is diversifying the sources of revenue. Today, there is a reliance, I don't have the exact number, say 70% on the sale of gas. It is the objective really to reduce this by doing investment, by doing opportunity, creating revenue opportunities within this country, by doing industries, doing the different, you know, different projects that would generate money within the country. And this is the case of every Middle Eastern country.